Hi, I'm Steve Edney, the head gardener of the Secret Gardens of Sandwich, and this is my video diary. Today we're in the greenhouse, it's January, it's a bit warmer in here, surrounded by all our lovely plants which we're trying to keep warm, and cuttings that we're growing on ready for the season ahead. Last October, at the end of the summer, is really when we actually begin to think very carefully about the season ahead for the following year. We have to prepare borders in large scale borders, 200 foot long, 15 feet deep. So we just don't have the luxury of being able to leave it till January, February, March to actually get stuck into the borders. So there's a trade-off there. In places like the woodland garden, we like to leave things to the last very moment because of the insects that will all be overwintering and hibernating in amongst the leaf mould, and really the wildlife aspect. I think the birds will be in there hunting in amongst ivy and stuff, so we're careful not to be too tidy in the places that we think are very beneficial to wildlife. Whereas elsewhere in the garden, the main herbaceous borders, the long borders, the lakeside borders, we get stuck in and we have a management plan for the whole winter. We kind of sit down as a garden team and we pace out the whole thing for an entire winter. What we're up to in the garden, of course, clearing, tidying, staying as, trying to get the garden looking good for spring, because of course we're open to the public. People coming in all the time, scrutinising our work, wondering what we're up to. It's always great to interact with people, particularly during the winter period, because we don't get a lot of people in here. But lots of people coming in looking for ideas, inspiration, particularly during the winter. And there's actually a lot, although we're primarily a herbaceous garden, there's actually a lot of winter interest here in the garden. There's lovely coloured stems from trees and from shrubs, like the dogwood is a great example. Loads of people plant the red and the yellow stem dogwoods, they're very common. Lots of willows, we've got a couple of willows here that have fantastic burnt orange stems, and the colder it gets, the more fiery they get, the more orange comes out with the yellow. And then on top of that we've got willows which have got a lovely silver sheen to them. It's like a powder that's formed on the surface of the stem. And you can actually rub it off with your finger and it feels all kind of waxy. And that shines during the winter time. There's loads of winter interest plants that actually can form a supporting framework for your summer displays. So you can have both. You don't have to have a set winter scene or a winter garden, if you like, that then can't look good in the summer. It's all about choosing the right plants in the right places, perhaps not going overboard using too many of the same thing, but using enough that you get the harmony created by the repetition. I know from a keen plantsman like myself that it's very easy just to put together a collection of plants. A collection of plants doesn't necessarily make a beautiful garden, it just makes a collection of plants. So we're very, very careful to make sure that we try to marry both of our kind of the plantsman inside us, but also the artist inside us as well, so that the summer displays and the winter displays and the autumn display, there's always something interesting to see. Lots of people say, when does the garden peak? And I'd always say, actually, I don't think it ever does. There are some times of the year when it will look more beautiful to one person or another, but actually I think there's always something of interest. In a 3.5 acre garden, I think we'd all be doing it wrong if we couldn't have something looking interesting at this time of year, even if it's the framework of the beautifully designed garden itself. Now, something that we're really doing at the moment, and this is very exciting, particularly on those really cold days and it's a bit miserable outside and nobody's really wanting to go out and do any gardening, particularly if you're an amateur gardener, well I say amateur gardener, but very keen amateur gardener, but who wants to be outside, in the pouring rain and the freezing cold, or if it's snowing and we can't even get out there like it's been of late. Now is the time to be checking out your seed catalogues. Very exciting that this is where the plantsman comes out in us all, and it's always, this one turned up yesterday, this is Chiltern Seeds. I can hand on my heart recommend a few great seed providers. Chiltern's is one of them, absolutely. They have a fantastic catalogue. There's no pictures, no glossy pictures, but there are fantastic write-ups in them, explanations of the different plants, what they do, all in Latin, obviously not the description, but the actual plants. If there is a common name for it, it is put in there. So it does require a little bit of effort on the gardener's part. I know it can be a real bugbear You know, when you're looking at a plant, you think, what is that? I have no idea. But if you've got the internet, Google it, have a look at the image, because it's out there almost certainly. Someone will have printed an image of it on the internet by now. And Chilterns themselves have a few of images on their website, because, you know, the one thing we love to do as gardeners is to pick new plants from their catalogues that we don't know. Not necessarily new plants, new introductions, because I'm not necessarily into the whole gimmicky gardening, you know, oh, this is a brand new introduction for 2011. But new plants to us as gardeners, because we're always growing and learning. And sometimes it can take a few years of growing something before you really understand its requirements, and also then how to combine it with other plants to create a great display. On the other side of that, away from Chilterns, you've got Thompson & Morgan. Of course, everyone knows Thompson & Morgan seeds. They're in every Y, Vale and B&Q, you know, from here to Timbuktu, I'm certain of it. But nice glossy, you know, pictures and descriptions, and this is a great one as well. And you know, we're not snobbish gardeners by any means. Thompson & Morgan provides some great value and some great plants and some great seeds. So we'll use anybody that provides us with the right plants to build our displays. Very exciting time January can be. I mean, actually, January is really a very exciting time anyway, because it's all uphill from here. You really got to dig your heels in before Christmas and crack on with what needs to be done across the garden. But after Christmas, we're all refreshed, we're all back to work. January isn't a depressing time of year for gardeners. We can see the spring in sight. And so we push on with sowing about 20,000 seeds for the spring. Some of those will be plants for sale, so you can come down and buy them straight from our nursery. And you'll see those plants used in displays out in the garden from March onwards.